Hi, welcome to Skilled Pastor, where we offer practical advice for better ministry. My name is Rob Nieves, and today I'm talking about the secret to great presentation. Okay, so you've already done your study, you've already done the framing of your message, and you've got this. You've been working hard at this message. Now what's left? Now what's left is your presentation. And after you've done all this hard work, you don't want to mess it up here because this is really important. You're communicating the gospel of Jesus Christ, the greatest message ever. So you got to make sure that you're presenting it in the best way ever. So I've got 3 simple tips for you so that you have great presentation. The first one is this. You've got to listen to yourself. Now, I know that this is hard sometimes. This could be confusing because you're listening to yourself or you're trying to listen to yourself, but there's so many thoughts going on in your brain, especially if you're new, if you're a new preacher, if you're a new pastor. There's so many things going on in your head. Like you're thinking about, this message, but you're also thinking about the congregation. You're thinking about the room environment. Sometimes you might even be thinking about what it feels like. Maybe it's too hot. Maybe it's too cold. Maybe you're looking at people's faces and they look bored or they look, like they're talkative. And you've got all these different things going on, plus anything else that's going on, and you're just trying to preach this message. One of the skills that I think you need to work on and develop as quickly as possible is that you need to learn to listen to yourself. And that means that you hear every word you're saying and how you're saying it. One of the things I want to warn you against is that sometimes when you're very passionate about a message, sometimes it can come off as angry. And you need to be really careful with that. Or if you're frustrated over something, that you're not coming off as a preacher like you're angry. So you may want to just try and smile as you're preaching, and sometimes the way that you look and the way that you feel are totally different. So you need to make sure that you're smiling, that you're conveying that, hey, I'm not angry. I'm passionate about something, but I'm not angry. So be careful with that your tone doesn't communicate anger, but rather it communicates passion. Another thing I would say is that you need to watch your cadence. You need to watch the rhythm of your speech, the rhythm, the volume. You need to watch it all because sometimes you can be very nervous. And because you're nervous, you tend to speak really, really fast and people can't even understand what you're saying because you're talking so fast. And other times you may be talking too slow. You're talking so slow that people are just nodding off. And you need to be careful. Like either extreme is bad. You have to find a really good medium in between where you're not too fast, you're not too slow, but you're just communicating like a natural person. So you need to make sure there may be times when you need to communicate faster. There may be times when you need to communicate a little slower. You also have to realize that sometimes you may need to raise your volume. Sometimes you may need to lower it. So if you want to bring your audience in, you need to bring them in. You need to be very careful that you're not communicating something that should be communicated in a very deep voice, very low tone. You want to make sure that something that maybe it's a real hard truth of Scripture, that you're not communicating it too quickly or at too high a pitch, but rather that you're communicating it with some profundity and just some deep gravity and saying, this is important. This is important to God. There are other times when you want to be animated. And there's other times where you want to be excited. We're talking about the gospel of Jesus Christ. This should animate you. You should be excited. We're talking about the cross. We're talking about the resurrection. That's exciting. I can't say that on a low-pitched voice. I can't say that. So you want to watch your cadence. You want to make sure that you watch your tone. Listen to yourself is probably the best thing I can tell you there. The second thing I want to tell you is that you need to fix your technology. Maybe you're using a PowerPoint or Keynote or some presentation of some sort. I want to just say, if you're not a graphic designer, and if you don't have a graphic designer that can help you, I'm going to say less is more. Less is more. Don't try to do a whole lot if you don't know how to do a whole lot. Leave it alone. Get yourself, if you're trying to put words on a screen, just go ahead and leave it a black background with some maybe white text and keep the text simple so that it's legible. So less is more when it comes to those things, unless you have somebody that can do it and can do it well. So you want to watch your technology in that sense. You also want to watch your technology in terms of your microphone. You want to test your microphone before you preach, before the service, preferably. You want to make sure that you're ready to go. So get with your technician. Make sure that as soon as you turn on this mic, there's not going to be squeaks and squeals all over the place, but that everything is set to go, that people are ready. Another thing I want to say about technology, I want to show you this. This is the microphone that I use here at our church, right? And it's a headset microphone that I use. But one of the things that I've seen some preachers do is that they'll leave these cables like just dangling in the front, and they're preaching and the cable's going all over the place. And I got to tell you, as someone that gets easily distracted, the moment that happens, like, you just lost me. I am looking at your cable and I don't know what you're saying. So you want to make sure you throw the cable behind, want to make sure that you clean it up as best you can so that no one notices that it's even there. You got to make it invisible when it comes to technology. So you've got to make these things look natural. You've got to make sure that things are set. So that's why preparation is so key. And the last thing I would say is your attire. How are you dressed? Now, some traditions and some customs, some churches, you have to wear a suit and tie. And if that's your church tradition, that's great. That's what you do as the preacher. Some others will allow you, maybe just a button-up shirt. And yet other traditions may say, hey, you can wear a t-shirt. It doesn't matter. And that's fine. I'm not here to tell you how you need to dress in your church. But the one thing that should be across the board true for every one of us is that it needs to be neat and it needs to be clean. Like if you are going up there, even if it's a t-shirt and you've got ketchup stains and mustard stains and stuff going on and you just look dirty, like you really need to watch that because you're communicating the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if you want people to take you seriously, you're going to have to look presentable. Even if it's dressed down, even if it's a t-shirt and jeans, that's totally cool. But make sure that you look well. You're presenting, again, the greatest message ever. You should present it in the best way ever. So this is just some helpful tips for you as you're presenting this message. You've worked so hard for it. Now is time to do it right. And you're doing it right for the glory of God.